Welcome to IHIP News. Welcome all the new subscribers. Today we're going to do a end of the week roundup. Pumps, what do you have for us?
It has been a great week. It has truly been a great week. No better than yesterday when the American hostages came home. Russia released hostages. Joe Biden, all the credit in the world to him, working with the alliances that he has created and built over 50 years and recognizing how important they are. One thing that is notable about the return of the hostages is Donald Trump's reaction. And I think I've cracked the case on why that is. Take a look. Here he goes on and on about how he alone can bring home Evan Gershkovich. That Vladimir Putin will do that for him, but nobody else. That's a Truth Social post, May 23rd. I just want to point out at 1:30 a.m. Okay. So while the rest of the world is celebrating the release of the hostages, here is what the fearless orange leader says. He doesn't say welcome home. This is the man who's so worried about decency and character that he chewed out Rachel Scott because she didn't say hi first and took him with his own words. He can't even say welcome home, nothing. He's mad. I ask you, how could anybody vote for that? How un-American is that?
It is something that we have to leave to the psychiatrists, but it is a cult. And he shows time and time again how he prefers American failure over American successes. You can look at what he did to the border bill. And I also want to point out that he lost the election. Why are these Republicans always listening to a loser? Like all of the people that were elected that are in Congress give deference to a man who lost. He lost the popular vote. He lost the electoral vote. He's a convicted felon. He's a weirdo, and he is a loser. And they all listen to him. So the adults, Biden-Harris administration, and all of the adults and the competency in that administration brought home these Americans. And I think, I'm not a foreign policy wonk, but I think it's a clear sign for Moscow that they know that Trump is going to be a loser to Kamala. They know what we all know. They can see what we see on the ground here and the energy felt in this country right now. And it is that Donald Trump is going to lose yet again.
I hope you're right. I think you're right. I'm excited about it. So one thing, we've all talked about his behavior at the National Association of Black Journalists and his deplorable conduct and the horrific behavior that he exhibited. And so some people, Trump's changed, Trump this, the assassination attempt, wink, wink, whatever. So I just want to show you might recall that Donald Trump was able to bankrupt 6 casinos.
Yeah.
So he was before Congress when he owned those casinos. This is 1998. Let's see if you recognize any of the language that he said in 2024 versus 1998.
Is this you discussing Indian blood? We're going to judge people by whether they have Indian blood, whether they're qualified to run a gaming casino or not?
That probably is me, absolutely. Because I tell you what, if you look at some of the reservations that you've approved, you, sir, in your great wisdom have approved, I will tell you right now, they don't look like Indians to me.
I mean, this is just, we've all known, those of us that are not inside the MAGA cult, and those of us that are objective and open-minded, that this man is a racist. He's always been a racist. He was a racist in front of the Black Journalists Association. It is so embarrassing. But everybody knows who he is now. Everybody knows. He's proven it from the 90s, from the 80s with the real estate deals and not leasing to Black people, all the way current. So we know who he is. So my question is for the American public, who are you?
Absolutely.
Are you a racist apologist? Or are you going to accept the fact that we live in a diverse country and embrace that diversity and try to make it more equitable for all Americans? A MAGA vote does not promote equality. It doesn't promote democracy. You can see that before Biden dropped out of the race, you saw how emboldened they felt.
Mm-hmm.
You saw them pick J.D. Vance, who is ultra MAGA weirdo deluxe, who bizarrely cannot even defend racist attacks against his own wife of Indian descent because he has zero backbone. But you also saw the Heritage Foundation kind of taking victory laps about Project 2025. You saw how emboldened the president of the Heritage Foundation was. You saw Josh Hawley in an interview, on the stage saying, so they're saying that we're a Christian nationalist nation. And I'm saying, yes, we are. They felt so emboldened. Now, all of a sudden, the tide has turned and we have united around a woman who is brilliant, accomplished, more successful on her own merit than Donald Trump, the Nepo baby, could ever consider being in his life. And they know it, and Americans are flocking to her. Fundraising, I think in July, she raised $310 million, which for Donald Trump is just an extra dagger in his heart. And the petty person in me loves those things because I know it makes him crazy at 2:30 a.m. with his caps lock situation. But here's what they're trying to do right now. I took a little note. I was reading, sometimes in the mornings, I read the news, then I go over to the right-wing news to see what they're saying. And here was a story I saw in the Daily Mail, which we know is owned by Rupert Murdoch. And Kamala, during the whole hostage negotiations, yesterday she had a phone call with Alex Navalny's widow. And on the call, she had it on speakerphone, but she also had the phone up to her ear. I do this all the time.
Right.
Like if you and I are having a business call with something to do with our podcast or a guest or something, I'll have it on speaker so that you can hear it, but sometimes I hold it up to my ear as well. So they report, look at Kamala's weird behavior. They're trying to flip the script.
Right.
And so here's the deal. If y'all want to have a weird contest, let's tee it up. Let's tee up the weird stuff. We've got J.D. Vance, who it's rumored likes to have sex with couches. I don't know if that's true or not, but I sure know that everybody's talking about that on the internet all the time. We have J.D. Vance, who bizarrely took aim at a large portion of the electorate that doesn't have children, called them sociopaths and all sorts of crazy shit. And Kamala takes a call with a widow of a man who was killed by the Russian regime, which Trump has never really gone toe-to-toe with Putin.
No.
He acquiesces to him and is his little lapdog. So if y'all want to have a weird contest, let's do it. Let's have a weird contest. Because I know who's going to win the weird contest. And it's J.D. Vance and Donald Trump. I mean, this is a man, again, I don't know if this is true or not, but apparently he has to wear diapers. This is a man that consistently and constantly talks about Hannibal Lecter. And I think some sleuths on the internet have cracked the case as to why he does this and why he talks about it is because he doesn't know the difference between an insane asylum, which is where Hannibal Lecter, a fictional character, I might add, was, and people seeking asylum.
Right.
And he keeps bringing it up over and over again, talking about sharks and electrocution and all this weird shit. So right-wing media and MAGA, you want to have a weird contest? Let's do it. Because while we're having the weird contest on the internet, the adults, Vice President Kamala Harris and President Joe Biden, are actually doing adult, real, big country, big government shit.
We didn't plan this, but to just cap off my weekly roundup, I brought some weird stuff out from MAGA. I mean, it's just perfect.
Perfect.
Okay, this is the first one.
Well, they're the weird ones, and if you've ever seen her with the laugh and everything else, that's a weird deal going on there. They're the weird ones. Nobody's ever called me weird. I'm a lot of things, but weird I'm not, and I'm up front. And he's not either, I will tell you. JD is not at all. They are.
I know you are, but what am I?
What a titty baby. I mean, you know what? It's like so easy, pardon my language, but to fuck with these people.
Yeah.
Because it's like they're playing checkers and the Dems are over here playing chess. And they try to make these nuanced arguments. He's an existential threat to democracy. And they finally realize they're just weird. These guys are weirdos. This is weird shit. Look at a Trump rally. Look at the way all the people are dressed and the way that all the crap they put on their cars and all the homoerotic photoshopped pictures of Donald Trump. It's weird. And it's working because that is so good. Inject that into my veins that a presidential candidate for the United States. Nobody ever calls me weird. I'm not weird.
Keep that bubble in your head. Keep that thought bubble. Nobody's ever called me weird. Okay, Seth.
If Ivanka weren't my daughter, perhaps I'd be dating her. You know?
Stop it. Oh, it's so weird. Stop. You know what? You are sick.
Isn't that terrible?
Yeah.
Nobody's ever called me weird.
Imagine if Barack Obama said that about one of his daughters.
Can you imagine the pearl clutching?
Everybody in the right-wing media world would hyperventilate. I don't know that there's enough ambulances in America that could get these people medical help. They would lose their minds. The situation about all the weird shit that Donald Trump does and says is we could start right now. And we could have 20 seasons of a podcast every day, 4 hours a day. And then we could stay up from the hours of 2:30 to 4:30 a.m. and caps lock the weird shit he does, and we wouldn't even scratch the surface.
No.
His whole life is weird. Everything about him is weird, but he's also weirdly dangerous.
Yes. Yes. Okay. And then, he surrounds himself with only the best people, and he's not weird. And you brought up the homoerotic pictures of Trump. Look at this. You're going to love it.
We voting Donald Trump, baby. America needs saving. America needs saving. We voting Trump, baby.
Okay, number one, Roger Stone was an advisor to his 2016 presidential campaign. And guess what? He went to fucking prison because he was found guilty of obstructing justice. The only reason that weird ass motherfucker is able to dance like the biggest weirdo on planet Earth is because his sentence was commuted. He is a criminal, like Donald Trump is a criminal, like all of his buddies are criminals.
Peter
Navarro, Steve Bannon, Paul Manafort. The list goes on.
We'll do an episode next week about the myth that the Republican Party is the party of law and order, which they are the party of criminals. Everybody sees it unless you're in the cult. Everybody sees what criminals, liars, and grifters these people are. It is unbelievable that they say this shit with a straight face, that they're so pro-police when they support rioters that beat the shit out of cops. It's just and they're all felons. And if he wins, his entire cabinet will be a cabinet of felons.
Right.
And I just want to leave the weekend going into Simone Biles on Twitter trolling MAGA with her gold medal and saying, this is what a black job looks like.
Yeah. Loved it. I love my black job.
Yeah, that's what she said. I love my black job. Yeah. And I just, you saw an assault on the Olympics by right-wing media. And it is just, they want to pick which athletes they support.
Right.
They never really were for Brittany Griner.
No.
Getting out of Russia.
They didn't give a shit.
Yeah. And so I think Simone Biles is a fantastic American. And it brings me so much joy that she got her gold medal. And if you go back and look at conservative comments about her and how horrible
to her
and despicable they were, she gets the last laugh, and she's done more with her life than any of these pathetic races could ever do in their lives.
Completely agree.
All right, stick with us for more hot takes.
It's so entertaining. Tap the vein. So